Hi here. This is a reading for the sign of Taurus. We're going to do a Celtic crossbred with the Thoth deck, and what we see on the bottom of the deck is going to represent what you don't see coming. And once we get an idea of what the general message of this reading is going to be, we're going to pull 3 cards from the shadow deck to see what's going on in your subconscious and to see if there are any further clarifications we might need. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so today we are tuning in to the sign of Taurus. So if that is your sun, your moon, or your rising sign, or however else you choose today to identify with the sign of Taurus, you can use that as a way of interpreting the messages that are coming through. And as always, if the details of these messages do not seem to fit, that is okay. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if none of the details are seeming to fit your life or your situation, you can always check your other placements, or you can stick around and see what's going on in the world of other Tauruses. So let's see what messages we get today. What things should we think about? What things should we perhaps meditate upon today? Are there warnings that we need to see? Are there things in our life that we should try to avoid or perhaps try to not put our energy into? Or are there things perhaps we should move towards? Things that can make our life a little bit easier or perhaps a little happier or whatever it is that you're looking for in your life. What messages can we receive today for those who are trying to tap into the energy of the sign of Taurus? What can our Celtic cross tell us today? So let's see what we get. Okay, feels pretty good. All right, so let us see what we have today. In the present moment, we begin with the Prince of Swords, the Heir of Air. This is a card about trying to collect your thoughts. You see there in that picture, he has all of these sort of smaller versions of himself that are all sort of fragments of his own mind that he's trying to sort of tame and pull together so that they can be a team rather than a collection of chaotically moving around pieces. Right? It's about taking all of that mental air energy and bringing it into focus so that we can achieve some goal rather than feeling like we're broken into a bunch of tiny little pieces and never really accomplishing anything bigger than little small tasks. Okay? So let's see what crosses us in this. The Eight of Swords. Interference, blockage. So I get the sense here that this is saying that you're in a place currently where you feel stuck, but not because there is something necessarily that is a blockage as in terms of a gate, but I feel like this is a blockage in terms of being pulled in a bunch of different directions. I feel like there is a sense of being stuck in the way that the chariot cannot move forward if we cannot pull into alignment the two creatures, in whatever version of the deck you're looking at, are pulling that chariot forward. In order to move clearly towards the destination that we want, the only way to do so is to bring ourselves into some kind of alignment, to get some focus over whatever it is that we're dealing with. Okay, in the past we have the Death card, and very nice. In the future we have the Star, so that's some very positive, in terms of our timeline, that's some very positive growth. Here underneath we have the Lovers and the Wheel of Fortune. Fantastic. The Hanged Man, the Sun. Oh my god. The Ten of Swords, or excuse me, the Ten of Discs. Wow, and the Two of Cups. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay. So let's see what's happening here. In terms of our major arcana, there's a lot, right? We have death, fortune, the star, the lovers, the hanged man, the sun. That's six major arcana. Over half of this spread is major arcana, and some of the happiest of the major arcana here. Over here, then, in terms of court cards, we've got simply the Prince of Swords. In terms of our minor arcana, there's not a lot here, right? We have the Eight of Swords and the Prince of Swords, so leaning a little on the air side of things. We have no fire at all. We have the Two of Cups for our water energy and the Ten of Discs for our earth energy. So mostly major arcana. And yeah, but these are some really, really beautiful cards. This is a really nice collection here. So yeah, okay, so let's just go through this. Let's just see where this takes us as we expand on this. So we start here with the Prince of Swords, and as I said, this feels like blockage, stuck. We're in a... It's almost as if, to keep this metaphor of a car going, even though we don't have the chariot here, it's like you have a boot on one of the wheels of your car. Actually, no, I would say it's not like you have a boot on one of the wheels of your car. That would be like having a single blockage that you could just remove, right? That's not the kind of situation we're in here. With the Prince of Swords there, the issue is more of having air going all over the place, having ideas moving this way, that way, and trying to get some sort of organization over that airy chaos. And all of that airy chaos is manifesting as the Eight of Swords, which is the thing that is crossing you. Again, it's a blockage, but not in terms of a boot on a wheel kind of blockage. It's not a gate that you have to break through. It's a matter of pulling things into focus and organization so that we can take a step forward. Now, what are we moving towards? Well, it's not clear what that is in general, but what the message of this reading is that the thing you are moving towards is something that is divinely guided. This is something that, and even if you are not a spiritual person, this is something that feels like a divine calling for you. It's something that feels like it's the path that you are supposed to take. There's some level of certainty, although the process may not be clear. The goal of this process is clear. The star is like a sun in the far distance. It has the energy and the power of the sun because, well, it's a star. Stars are suns. But it's a sun that is very far off in the distance. And so achieving that is not only a difficult task, but a lifelong task. So I feel like what's happening here is we're trying to get to a point where we can clear our head so that we can move forward towards this calling. And it's not clear how we're going to get there. It's not clear what the steps we need to take to achieve this goal, but it's clear what the goal itself is. And what I think is really beautiful about some of these cards here is that we're moving towards the star coming off of the tail end of the death card. So whatever has occurred in your past is something that is basically being left behind. There's something that, whether good or bad, it's not even clear that you're leaving a bad thing behind, but there's something in the past that is being laid to rest and let go of to move forward towards whatever this goal of is here with the star. And I also really like the color difference here, right? We have this the skeleton in the death card here is this nice rich black color. We're moving towards this nice white color that we see here in the star. So it almost feels like perhaps this maiden here almost feels like it could be the sort of exterior that is put on around this skeleton here. But I like this color contrast really a lot. So it's like here's the source that we're coming from, and this is the destination that we're trying to move towards. This receptive energy of creation out of some kind of letting go or ending and moving towards some culminating destination that is the finality of this process that, again, of course, probably begins some new cycle. So again, there's this like I almost feel there's like a light cone kind of thing happening here where there's like this the base of this cone is coming to this point here, and the death card is like the black empty space that this is all coming out of. And with the Prince of Swords and this interference that we're feeling, it's taking all of this sort of chaos from this new thing that's being created and trying to pull that chaos into some level of focus to bring it to a focal point. And the inevitable focal point that it's trying to reach is this star that we see in the distance. And that's really a nice symbol, I think, for the destination we're trying to get to. So that's what's happening here in essentially like our timeline level. Okay, so there's like a quest sort of vibe happening here, but it's a quest to find purpose through focusing on what needs to be the sort of end goal. And I think that's even further emphasized by the Lover's card here, in terms of this being the card of choice. So I think this is a story about trying to come out of a sort of dark chaos, collecting all the tools that have been provided to you and trying to use those to bring into focus the star that you're trying to get towards. And that getting into focus process is really about determining what it is that you want to align yourself with. With the Lover's card, it's about making the choice of what you want to connect with your energy. And so with the Prince of Swords, it's kind of all over the place. There's all these different opportunities. You can go this way, you can go that way, this, that, this, and the other. And really, at the end of the day, we have to look inside of ourselves and figure out what choices do we want to make in terms of what we're trying to move towards. As we're trying to get to that star, we have to make a choice along that pathway to figure out what are the things that are going to help me get to that destination, because I know what the final thing that I'm trying to connect with. So what are the things along the way that help me get towards that connection? And so here, I think there's a nice sort of dichotomy here with the Lover's card representing our active choice of how we want to navigate this space. And at the top of everything is the Wheel of Fortune card, which is, in some sense here, kind of representing luck, right? So it's like, I feel like this axis is really giving us, it's a notion of a sort of a cone kind of, but here the cone is kind of going down. So the chaos of all the things that are possible is there at the top. That circle there is kind of like the base of that cone, and the Lover's card is essentially like the other point on that cone. So we're trying to see all of these possibilities in front of us, and we have to pick among all those possibilities what it is that we want to do at any given moment. What choice do we want to make as we navigate through this? And when we make that choice, it determines a particular sort of trajectory through that cone that takes us into this space of all the things that are possible. And that's what we have to sort of navigate through as we're trying to get to the star. So it's like we're trying to pull the story of our life together to move towards the final destination of the star. And the way that we do that is by making choices based on our internal feelings, our experiences, and what matters to us, what kind of defines us as a person. And as we make those choices, it sort of rockets us forward towards different possibilities that the wheel presents us with. So this is a really nice sort of model of, I mean, kind of anyone's life, really. Once you identify your goal, it's kind of like these two cones. You're making choices at any given moment. You can't change the past, but you have this sort of cone or triangle of options of which direction you want to go based on where you are at any given one time. So maybe you're moving around like this, and once you make one of those choices, that cone moves along that path into a new set of possibilities. And that's what's really happening with this vertical axis, is it's showing us how at every choice we make leads us to a new set of options to pick as we get closer and closer to the inevitable final part of our lives, which is reaching that star. So that's really cool. I really like that. So how do we navigate this? Okay, if that's the path of sort of the space that the life that we're living in, the sort of space of possibilities that we can work in, the Hanged Man is your general energy, because this is you sort of, as we make each of these choices, we have to take a step back and determine what it is that we want to choose. This is taking a reflective moment to determine what of the options that the wheel presents us with, which is the one that we want to choose. So we have to really look at all those options very closely, turn them inside out, upside down, however you want to look at them, but look at them from the right point of view so you can understand whether or not the new set of options that will be presented to you after you make a certain choice, we have to determine whether those bring us closer or farther away from whatever that star is. So we have to stay in this energy of the Hanged Man. And, you know, it's also kind of interesting if we've got this metaphor of sort of moving inside of this cone, the Hanged Man really gives this sort of idea of trying to keep a level of balance, because if we move a little bit too far to the left or right of that cone, we might, get pushed off to the side. Think about if you're, bowling or something, you don't want to end up in the gutter. You have to stay perfectly balanced in the middle and make the choices that are taking us as close to our target as possible. Right? We want to minimize our uncertainty, but of course there's always some level of uncertainty given to us from the luck of the wheel, right? So the Hangman is about trying to perfect that level of balance and clarity as best as possible so that we can make the right choices to get us to this star, okay? And I think also I want to emphasize this cone that I'm talking about, right? There's the cone right there. It's him looking out at his world and seeing all the things that are in front of him that he can reach towards. That's the wheel up there at the top that he's moving towards, and we're trying to stay balanced as we move upward towards that cone. Okay? And if you want to go on this timeline here, right, the cone of where he comes from and where he will inevitably return to with the star at the end. So, that is the general energy that we are in as we are sort of navigating all of these choices and trying to make sense of what to do with them. There's not really a whole lot of explanation of what to do here, but it's a very beautiful picture of sort of how to look at making choices in your life. Or maybe this is an enlightening way for you to look at making choices in your life. Here in our environment, we have the sun. And I mean, that, to me, that's kind of giving the vibe of you might make the wrong choices sometimes. You might end up going a little bit off course. But if your environment is the sun, it seems like no matter what path you take, it's like you're being guided enough to where, back to the bowling metaphor, it's like the bumpers are on the alley, right, or the lane itself, right? No matter if we veer too far to the left or the right, which we have to maintain this balance as the Hanged Man, but if we maintain that balance appropriately, then we don't really have to worry about going in the wrong path. Wherever we're trying to get to, we'll get there when we need to get there, as long as we take our honest effort to make the right choices and continue moving forward, and we don't just, step out of the game and just say, I'm not doing this, you can't make me kind of attitude. As long as we, keep following true to moving in the direction of our star, this is really, to me, representing that things will be, for the most part, they'll get to where they need to get to. It's not saying that you're never going to make a mistake. It's not saying that things are never going to be difficult. It's just saying that it's okay to sort of let go and enjoy the process, because inevitably you're going to get to where you need to get to one way or the other. There may be easier paths or more difficult paths, but in one way or the other, the sun is still going to shine a light on whatever it is that you need to see to get to where you're trying to get to. It also, to me, sort of represents, here, if this is the Hanged Man, you notice there's this light coming out of that card that, to me, feels very much like the light that's coming from that sun there. So again, it's like, maybe it's also representative of this fact that the balance that we're trying to seek is realizing that the star we are trying to move towards is itself a sun. And as long as we keep our mind sort of focused on whatever that thing is for us, as we get closer and closer to it, it's just going to shine more and more light upon us and help us get more and more clarity and balance and focus. It's kind of telling me that things are going to get easier the longer you're on this journey, whatever that is for you. And so here we have the challenge is the 10 of discs, which, I mean, that could mean that perhaps the challenge is having to worry about finances. Maybe resources or living conditions are something that is a primary difficulty in reaching whatever it is that you want to get to in your life. But I kind of get the sense that I feel the 10 there is almost there in the sense of, like, it's the challenge in the sense that part of, I think, what the star represents is a certain level of comfort, but not an isolated level of comfort, a shared comfort with the people that you care about, friends, family, community, whatever that is for you. Part of the challenge is being able to accomplish what you want to accomplish and getting to a place where you can provide stability for yourself and all those people that you care about. That the goal, part of the goal of the sun is not just to achieve something in and of itself, but to achieve something that you can then honestly give back to other people. It's not an egoistic sort of goal of, I just want to be rich. It's, I want to get the resources I need to get so that I can not only keep myself sustained, but I can continue sustaining other people who need help as well, and really giving back to other people. I think that's part of what the star is. It's not just accomplishing a personal achievement. It's a personal achievement that's going to allow you to give back to all the people who helped you along the way, and the people who are going to stick with you throughout this entire journey. And what is the final outcome? I mean, you couldn't put a better period on this story than to be moving towards the love card. If we are guided by making choices with the lover, the final outcome is that as we traverse all the difficulties in our life and we overcome all the obstacles that we have to overcome, we find the stability that we're looking for, we're able to provide light and growth to everyone that we care about, and we can find a comfortable place to live and share in the beauty of being alive. That's what that love card is finally making that connection that makes you feel in it, really feel like you've found the to me, that love card is representing the final connection with the star itself. When I sit here, it's like the final destination is the star. Yes, at some point our final destination is that we will die, but I do not see the star as the ending in a death sense. It's the ending in the sense of finally connecting with the thing that is most important and beautiful to you. And the love cup is that final connection between you and the thing you're going after. And when those two things finally become one, that's when you finally reach that star. And that's when this story, maybe not your full life, but the story of this aspect of your life really reaches its pinnacle. And that's the sort of beautiful conclusion to making these choices as you navigate this space that is making decisions in your life. So that's the message I'm getting from this. Not really a lot of personal life advice, but a very beautiful picture is being painted here of how to look at your life and how to really, approach life with this attitude that everything is an adventure, that you are trying to progress towards some goal that will make you feel complete and fulfilled in the end. And if you keep that sort of model in your mind as you're navigating your life, it can make the scary choices that you have to make a little bit easier to handle, because the reward can feel so much more powerful than the difficulty of navigating the space that is all the unknowns that you may not be able to make sense of otherwise. So I love that. Beautiful, beautiful cards. What you don't see coming: works, growth, physical expansion. Yeah, so I think as you're making these choices, as you're trying to get clarity on what it is that you're moving towards, or at least how to move towards it, I don't think the Prince of Swords is necessarily getting clarity on what the star is, though maybe it is. To me, the Prince of Swords here was representing gaining the clarity as we navigate through the space of unknowns to know what unknowns are worth our time and which ones are not as we get closer to that star. And as we get that more into focus, it'll be a lot easier to identify what it is that you need to build upon. It's not just about floating aimlessly through space like the Fool. It's about building something, and if we're going to get to that star, we have to actually put in work. We have to put in thought and effort to build something that is sustainable, that gets us closer to the things that we love and the things that we're trying to build in our life. That's the difficulty of getting through the 10 of discs there, trying to find that sort of monetary stability. That comes from putting in effort and building something. Perhaps it's a legacy, building something that perhaps is, if you're trying to sell something, a brand. But this is the card that's representative of that building and that expansion. And even possibly an amount of, I get a little bit of a sense of coordination and networking with other people who are trying to build as well. It's all about trying to make those connections and building an infrastructure that pushes you towards the thing that you love. So let's see what the Shadow deck has for us. Okay, so what's going on in your subconscious here? Do one more good shuffle. Okay, so we'll pull 3 cards from here. We have the Star again, the King of Swords, and the Ace of Wands. Interesting. So the Star again is confirmation that this is all about moving towards the thing that is like your calling, the thing that you were trying to accomplish. And I think the Ace of Wands is the spark of passion that's really kicking this off and pushing it forward. If we're moving from the recent past being the Death card, to me, the Ace of Wands is sort of representative of you making the decision in your mind to begin this path. It's like the match that lights the funeral pyre that the Death card is sort of building this beautiful, bright flame from. So there's the remains of what is being left behind or what is changing or ending in your past. The Ace of Wands is taking those experiences and using them as fuel for the fire that is pushing you forward towards the star, which is what we're trying to get to. But at the end of the day, a lot of this is really about trying to get clarity on our path, and we see there the King of Swords, which would be the equivalent of the Prince of Swords in the Thoth deck. So again, another confirmation that the struggle is making the decisions we need to make. It's about trying to get our head cleared, trying to make sense intellectually of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. We know what feels right. We know what the star is. We know that we're trying to connect with that. But this is really all about figuring out the right way to make the right choices, the Lover's card. And so the King of Swords is representative of you trying to pull all the different aspects of yourself together so you can gain the clarity you need to be able to make the right choices and to respond properly to whatever it is that the wheel throws at you. And what we don't see coming here is the Nine of Cups. I mean, we've got like all the happy cards, right? The Two of Cups, the Sun, the Lovers, the Nine of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Star. I mean, this is some really positive energy here. This is really positive energy. It's not saying it's freebie energy. It's not just going to fall in your lap. I mean, the wheel will present you with opportunities, but at the end of the day, you have to choose to respond to those opportunities. That's what the Lover's card is saying. And the King of Swords is saying that if we are going to break away from whatever barriers are holding us back, it's not that we have to just brute force forward through them. It is that we have to make sense of them so we can get focus and clarity and make the right choices that navigate us closer to that star. And if we do so, we have at the end of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is the Love card. And here is the Nine of Cups, is the joy and the bliss that we feel emotionally when we connect with that thing that is most important to us. So, beautiful reading. Whatever challenges that you're going through, I'm not saying that they're going to be easy, but if you keep your head on your shoulders and you think wisely about what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to get to where you need to get to. That's what this is really all about. You're going to connect with the people that you need to connect with so that you can build the things you need to build to help navigate you toward your final goal that is the star for you. And that star shines both within you and exterior to you. So take the lessons you've learned from your past and move forward into a more beautiful future. And enjoy the ride. It's not easy, but it's an adventure. So that is all I have for you today, Taurus. I hope this was helpful or at the least enjoyable. As always, if there are other messages or different messages that come through these cards or any of the things I've said, always use your intuition to receive the message that you need to receive. I'm just here facilitating a interpretation of these cards that will hopefully help inspire you to receive the message that you need to get you towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life. And so I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. If you know anyone who would enjoy or benefit from this or any of my other videos, please feel free to share them. And if you have any feedback or comments you would like to leave, please leave those in the comment section below. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And with these cards, I hope you have a beautiful adventure in front of you. So I'll catch you later, Taurus.